Deleted session, June 24th, 1973. Good evening. Now, we will start easily enough with your question as to whether or not Ruber considered your feelings in all of this. Rob asked, is Ruber at all concerned with the effect of his present behavior on me, my feelings, etc.? They said he did of course care deeply, and had his interpretation of your feelings. He believed that the symptoms served you both. That you would on the one hand object, give lip service against his methods, but that underneath they provided you service. We are working with his beliefs. He felt that you would find tools, etc., highly disruptive. There would be endless decisions to be made. The symptoms cut the need for decisions in that area. We are starting at the surface and working downward. As mentioned today, he felt they served you, helped you save face in your family and in society at large. You were not to be given the second place. Ruber obviously needed you. Some of these did have to do with old ideas that you were angry at him for any success if you had not achieved your own, and more, that the success might take you on tours and further away from your own work, which would make you angry at him. At the same time, you encouraged him to success, but he failed only to a certain point. For the fruits of the success you might find disruptive. In the family to which he has always been sensitive, he believed his success put you down, particularly with your mother and Lauren. Rob noted, my younger brother. Give us time, and we are still dealing with the same question. His symptoms were meant, in a way now, in regard to you, to make you feel better, for by contrast, you became the success and he the failure. That failure was also meant to take your mind away from what he believed you believed was your own failure as an artist. With others and strangers coming here, the symptoms put you, he believed, in a position of prominence. Obviously the head of the family, having to take care of the frail woman. To compensate for the fact that he was financially making more. In this regard, the illness was almost a gesture of defiance against any who would put you down. All of this is still in answer to the same question. At the same time, he began to see what the symptoms turned you off to some degree, and this made him angry. Some late instances I have mentioned having to do with his beliefs and interpretations now of your actions in dance establishments. He would purposely choose occasions in which dancing, to begin with, was at least not the thing. When no one else was dancing, when an ordinary person might have inhibitions against it, the very challenge was made because the challenge aroused him to action in a situation in which he felt your natural inhibitions would meet up against his denied spontaneity. I am making this as clear as I can. When you refused to dance, he interpreted this to mean that he was right. He could be spontaneous only as long as it was socially approved, did not hustle you, and when he did not stand out from the crowd. His sudden desire to dance and the freedom came fairly quickly after you started going out again. You stopped immediately, avoiding the situation. Ruber's sudden desire to dance was also based upon desperation and defiance, which you recognized and reacted against. There is more there, but it is a cameo situation involving many important ingredients, where he feels that letting go means he is too flamboyant for you. It is important because it involves both private and public circumstances. His attitude toward himself, you and other people, spontaneity and restraint. He wanted to dance precisely because no one else was, because you would stand out, because it was not the thing to do, and he felt and believed that those were precisely the reasons why you did not want him to do so. You must understand I am answering a question. The symptoms as related to you are being discussed. This is a part of the picture. The dancing situation is also important because bodily motion is involved. He always believed now that when you spoke to him in the past about walking faster than you or not waiting for you to open doors, that you were saying to him, "You are going too fast for me," and putting me in a poor social light. He believed that you wanted sex, but that you were afraid of it, as he was, because of the possibility of pregnancy. Here the symptoms served also, and cut down the possibility of sexual activity. He was afraid during the tour that you would feel put in second place, rather than as an artist being the star of your own show. For some time he did not feel that you wanted him to get better, but only to keep the symptoms within bounds. Again, this is in reference to you, and not the whole picture. On one level, he felt you were quite willing to have him do this, again, as long as he did not go too far. Then he felt that you were accusing him of being stupid, but without trying to come up with any solutions of your own. Then he felt completely alone, with a problem he feared he could not solve. He looked to your reaction after any spontaneous behavior, and he believed now that your reaction was negative. Very simply, the dancing episodes served as an example. It seemed to him that if he spontaneously felt happy about a book, that you would remind him of less favorable aspects. On the other hand, he was convinced of your deep loyalty and love, and knew that you did want him to succeed and use his abilities. He felt that you disapproved of class, of the spontaneity, and did not ever attend, while you were pleased with the money, and that if you attended, you would be in second place. That is why when the two of you met as a unit, so to speak, with the Rochester group, Rob noted last week, they said that he allowed himself greater freedom, and in that context, he believed you approved. Rob noted the Seth 3 episode, etc. They said again, on a very simple level, he believes that if he were better, he would always be wanting to dance in improper conditions, as far as you were concerned. Now, as partners, to some extent, consciously you agreed to varying attitudes at different times to the conditions, though the main elements, of course, are rules. He felt the necessity for some restraint in social encounters and with the world at large. Rupert is providing them, and also for his own reasons. He is showing the spontaneity in his work that you have denied yourself in many respects in yours. He is dealing with the world of markets that you have been unwilling to deal with. That is why you are so sensitive in that area. You had better take a break. There are invaluable benefits that you each have that are invisible to you. You take them so for granted that you do not realize how extraordinary they are in comparison to other people's experience. Your basic trust and loyalty to each other, for example. Many spend a lifetime searching for that recognition with another human being or achieve it but briefly. You are blind to this, yet others are quite aware that you have it. Besides, you each have deep interests and drives that have always united you, and you, Joseph, in this life, served as an impetus to organize Rupert's ability. He knew this. So did you. There are several times simultaneous existences, and you are both interacting in several. This deep inner knowledge provides each of you, whether or not you realize it, with strong ties of creaturehood and deep loyalties to both worlds. You did not want families, so your emotional ties with your mates were to be strong. In families, several members at various times serve to objectify the whole family's particular attitudes in a given area. The two of you in a more intensified framework portray your triumphs and challenges. You gave yourselves an intimate trust, however, with each other, and the sense of belonging that the majority of people simply lack. Give us a moment. To some extent, it is a matter of some perfectly adequate beliefs not being tempered by others. Some of the beliefs Rupert holds, that you think you disapprove of, you agree with, though not with his methods. Give us time. You have agreed that restraints should be used. Rupert chose the method. The methods came from his own experience in this life. The things you both strongly agreed upon were allowed freedom within those limitations. Until recently, you spoke to him against travel, because you lost work time. He believed that you thought it a waste of time. So he did not believe his lack of physical mobility that way would hamper you. He feared that left alone, he would want to travel at the drop of a hat. Your deepest drives involve inner work. He thought he chose methods then that would annoy each of you the least. You each have strong drives toward secrecy. Your idea was to isolate yourself on a mountain top, where the world could not get at you. His idea was an arrangement where he could not go out into the world. You may take your break. Now you have asked for my help. Until now, you both got enough out of the situation so that you did not seriously challenge it. It was meeting both of your needs. You have, Joseph, your own invisible beliefs. In a way, Rupert was doing precisely what you would do on one level, not leaving the house, avoiding chores, simply walking, cutting out all distractions. And again you approved, not of methods, but of everything else. You envied the concentration. On the one hand you said, "Good girl," and on the other complained about the undesirable side effects. Rupert was doing what you wanted to do, without the mountain top. Only when the side effects became more and more obtrusive did either of you become frightened. Rupert took it for granted that the body could take so much, and that he could reverse the conditions. Then he became afraid that he could not reverse them, and only then did the two of you really become worried. The idea of cutting down stimuli and concentrating on work was quite agreeable to both of you for some time, far beyond the time you think it was. You then had to do many of the chores and go out into the world, in you must admit a small fashion, but Rupert was afraid that otherwise you would retreat. Only the physical effect frightened either of you for some time. Rupert was afraid also you would retreat as he felt your father had. Therefore, he put you in a position where retreat was impossible. To some extent, you were afraid of the same thing. Now, all of this tonight is in response to one question, and will apply whether or not psychic work was involved. It is only lately that each of you have really become worried enough to want a real change. A note, Rupert's feeling toward this place. Rob noted, apartment 5. These are significant and beneficial. In line with invisible beliefs, there are many that are quite positive. Ingredients in your lives that you simply do not appreciate. Dimensions of activity that you take for granted. Access is free, by the way. Now, you may end the session. We will have a good book session tomorrow. I will deal with all of your questions in private sessions. Ross said, all right, thank you, Seth, and good night.